Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to take a very thorough analysis of the CMI MSc Data Science paper, and particularly in this video I'll be talking about only the last year paper, and I'll be talking about what the syllabus from which the question is asked, what is the pattern of the paper, and actually obviously other things related to the paper also. So if you want to appear for the CMI MSc Data Science exam, just watch the full video and I will get a very good analysis of the paper. So let's the video started. Well, let's just talk about the important instruction behind the paper. So the important instruction tells that this particular paper consists of a multiple choice question. So you will have the two part A and part B. So in part A, you will have only a multiple choice question, but the thing is that there may be multiple correct choices also. So like it may happen that if you have given four options, then it is not only that only one option will be correct, but in some questions, two or three more than two options can also be correct. But it is like what is the hard here? So because the thing is that you'll not be able to get what's the exact which is the exact questions from which there is going to be a multiple correct choices. So like let's say that we are 16 questions, so it may happen that question number one is the multiple correct, question number two is a single correct, so you don't know about anything. So you have to check if each and every options for all the obviously all the questions, because it may happen that some of the questions actually contains a multiple correct answer and there is no specific different section for that. Okay, the next thing is that you have to select all the correct option and no correct option to get full marks. So if you just select all correct option only, then you will get full marks. Let's say you just take two full correct option and take one incorrect option, then in that case you will not get any partial credit or any partial marks. Okay, so this is the most important thing, and just the thing is that you have a multiple correct or multiple single correct answer also. Just make sure that you check each and every option for each and every question. The second thing is that in questions part A, you have to provide the answer to the computer. Only you have to choose the appropriate answer from the choice provided. If the answer the part A and C, then choose A and C. It means that if you are just multiple correct answer, then you have to do the obviously do the answering the system in the answering the question in the system only. In part B, you will have to write your answer with a short explanation in the space provided for the questions. So like part B, you will have the subjective part, and in the subjective part, you will need to write the answer. So things that actually there is a single correct answer, there is a multiple correct answer, there is also subjective type question. So whatever you can expect from whatever the difficulties there, students actually deal with the subjective part of multiple correct, because the thing that it's very hard to get which question is the multiple correct, and the subjective part you may think that it's not possible to write the subjective answer to get the full marks, but the thing is that you can actually do that. And the most important thing is that I have made a course on CMI MSc Data Science, and if you follow that course, you will be actually getting each and everything like how to solve the questions from step by step. And actually, after taking that course, you will be able to solve a lot of questions from the CMI MSc Data Science. But things that just that's only for the sake of saying, but obviously you can just do the preparation from your side also. For numerical answer, the following forms are acceptable: fraction, decimal, symbolic. So like some of these forms are given. So this type of symbolic representation can be there in the questions, and you can also these type of things in the question. So now let's talk about more about the terminology. So in the beginning of the question paper, you generally find a lot of the notation and terminology. So these are the notation and terminology, some basic definitions, some basic notations that actually may be use of you. So like some definitions of subjective, bijective, and invertible, then some symmetric matrix, upper triangular, diagonal matrix. So like CMI paper actually is not about the memory. It's not like you have to learn something and you have to solve the questions. It's all about thinking. In semi paper actually is not based on the memory, it is based on the thinking skill, and you have to apply your thinking skills to actually get the questions correct. So obviously you have to learn something. Learn means you have to learn the how to solve the questions, how to do the programming, this type of part. But obviously the questions that you'll be solving actually does not require very advanced concept to remember or very advanced complex formula to remember. And everything is about the thinking. If you just think about the questions, if you can think to think and apply basic formula to solve the questions, then actually you can do that. So this is the main part about the CMI MSc Data Science. You have to apply the thinking, not the memory, because it's itself in the beginning itself there has been a lot of things given, and you can actually utilize those things to do your work. Okay, talking about the questions paper, like what are the pattern questions paper, or what are the different type of things from where the questions are asked. So let me just start talk about each and every questions, and like from which topic the questions is actually asked the most. So like the first thing is actually something related to permutation and combination, because some rearrangement of word is actually being talked about, and specifically I will talk about the obviously we'll see like which questions is from which topic, and actually we'll see in the end like which topic is the most important or most asked topic in the CMI MSc Data Science. Second questions is from the polynomial, obviously polynomial is in the syllabus, and especially polynomial like finding the roots of this polynomial quadratic equation, or and these type of things will be there in the examinations. Okay, programming is obviously the most important part, because till the fourth section inside the CMI, the math, the stats, this computer programming or logic, the computer programming is one of the things. So this is also obviously the questions of the coding. Okay, the next thing is that the this is particularly questions is that this is asking about the how much a score in her upcoming exam, there's an average score, like average, and these type of things are obviously in the statistics or basic statistics part. So these things actually can do. Obviously this is a part questions of binary tree, and binary tree actually is taught in the this programming part. Okay, and obviously there are not a lot of data structure being asked, but obviously whatever will be asked is based on the intuition only, or you can just solve by given informations in the question. The next thing is obviously from the coding section, and you can also see that there is a or function or something like this. So this is a coding plus logic gate, and logic gate is also inside the TCS syllabus. So obviously this is a question from the coding and logic gate. The next thing is from the probability. The question number 7 is from the probability, and question number 8 is obviously you can see that a lot of function and different types. So you can say that this is the questions of real number, or you can also solve these questions using the. So there are different type of concept involved actually. So this is a concept of this is a concept from the so this is concept from the real number. Some concepts are from obviously the real number. Some concepts are from roots of the equation or the infinite GP series. So these type of things are there. Okay, and obviously these type of things are there also in the thing. So like obviously solving these type of questions actually you can do from your basic intuition also, or you can obviously, so if you solve practice these type of questions, you can solve this question. So obviously this should be the multiple correct, because it's written at which of the following answers are correct. Obviously which of the following answers are correct, this also can be the questions, and this is the question from the matrix and determinant. So like obviously from the matrix actually a lot of questions are asked based on the only this particular thing, which is properties of matrix. So you have to study the properties of matrix. You can also see that here is also a questions of matrix, and this is also will be solved with which we know the properties of matrix or different things about the matrix. Okay, so in the just 10 questions we found two questions of the matrix. Okay, this question is also from the probability section, and in the probability especially from the standard distribution, if you just know. So this question is from that particular part, probability or standard distribution. This is the part of probability. Okay, this obviously is the part of function, because some inverse function is given. So this is a part of function or real number. So you can see that particular thing. Okay, the thing is that next part is obviously a part of the matrix, and some inverse of matrix or something like that is being asked. And the next question is from the data interpretation. So you know that in the statistics part itself there is a lot of questions or syllabus given on the data interpretation, and you have to, like, obviously data interpretation one cannot teach, or obviously you have to practice some questions, or you have to do this basic on the basis of your intuition. The next question, these two questions are based on this particular data type question, data interpretation question. And among the next question that we have, this is actually like obviously you can just say that this is the permutation combination questions, because obviously some arrangement dearrangement is being talked about. So these questions obviously you can solve on the basis of intuition also, or basis of the using the permutation combination concept also. Obviously the next question is from a lot of different concepts are there. So here you can see that trigonometry, some factorial or combination based, some inequality based questions. So this obviously is a multiple correct questions. So this will be from the different topics. Okay, so you can say that real permutation combinations, obviously the trigo part, or some inequality part. Okay, so these will be there. Next question matrix is from the matrices, and we have found three questions from the matrices. And the next question that we know is from the basic math only, because right angle triangle or hypotenuse. So this is called from the basic math only, and basic math that you have must have studied in the school level itself. The next thing that we have here, question number 20, is obviously it's from the like basic maths only, or you can solve it using your basic intuition only. Okay, so coming to the subjective part only, this first question is from the coding section, coding or programming. And you can see that the next part, this particular part is obviously question of what can say reasoning. So reasoning is something like reasoning data interpretation. So these things will be there. So this is the part of the reasoning question, and especially it's talking about obviously like a food delivery agent. Some name given are assessment based of 5 parameters, and some information will be given. Some information you have to find based on this particular information, and then you have to answer these particular questions. So like it's not like you are going to apply some concept here, just you have to apply a basic intuition or some reasoning concept. Then again, the question of coding, obviously coding is the major part. And coming to this particular section, this question of four actually from the, I don't know what they are, but I think this is from the basic math only, or basic reasoning only, because I do not find any extra thing here. Just everything is just so basic. So I think this is the questions of basic statistics, obviously basic math only, or basic reasoning you can use to solve this thing. This is the question from GCD. So GCD in syllabus, so you can expect at least one question from GCD every year. Obviously, this question is from the geometry, and how do you guess this particular question? Because it's talking about the sphere and the equation, or the plane, or center of the radius. So these things are obviously in the, like a sphere, any shape is being talked about. So the question from geometry, 3D geometry. These particular questions are talking about expectations of value of x. So obviously, I think this would be the statistics part. And uh, this particular question, question number 8, is actually about the, we pick the length of t and uniformly random. So this is obviously should be the question from probability itself, or I think it should be general math also, but actually I'm not going to see what. Okay, so this smallest possible value of this particular thing is constrained by non-negative real number, satisfy this particular thing. So what is the smallest possible number? So obviously you can find it using I don't know, maybe some calculus concept, or maybe some basic math. So it will be clear when you will just solve the mathematical part. Obviously, question from the matrix, and then again you have a questions from mm, probability or basic math, you can say. Or then again you can see that you have question of data interpretation. So data interpretation question we have find a lot. And if you just see below, again questions from the probability itself. So coming to the next section, you will find questions from again the data interpretation. And then you have okay, so it may be the question from data interpretation, maybe it questions from some other part also. So like I don't know, like it's talking about find the value of P, which the maximum amount of solar power can be bought or sold in the market. So maybe you can solve it using by your basic intuition also. 16 is the question number 16 is from the polynomial itself. This is a question from the function itself. And then question number 17 is from the integral part. And then obviously again the questions from the maximum minimum. Uh, like maximum minima, this you can say. So like if you just see something maxima minima, questions from the maximum minima, and the questions from the GCD, one question each year you will find at least one question obviously you'll find from the maximum. So this is topic that is CMI don't miss. CMI obviously will ask some questions from the maximum minima and GCD. Obviously metrics, the coding and data interpretation are the major thing, but this thing will always there. Just don't miss this part. Obviously, next question is from the function itself, and this is because of function, or the composition of function, set theory, or you can say that the last question is basic. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you can solve it using the basic math or something else. So like in the advanced, in the, if we talk about the overall thing, so mainly thing is that ki basic probability, basic math is asked, and the basic math you can see that function, then set, function set, and then obviously the real number, some consider real number, inequality. So these type of questions will be there. Okay. The next part is the probability. Probability questions are always there, so you will find more than 5 to 6 questions from the probability. So probability, and especially like whatever the talked in the syllabus only in the CMI, the probability question will be there. Next, the data interpretation. So you will find a lot of questions from the data interpretation. And like if you want to find solve the data interpretation question, just try to solve the each and every year data interpretation question of the CMI, or maybe solve some cat level book of data interpretation, and you will be actually solve those parts. Next thing is about the coding. So obviously you'll find a lot of questions from the coding also. So like if you just see a basic level, high level idea, so a lot of questions are from this part only. Obviously you can't miss the matrix, because we found more than 4 questions from the matrix part. So matrix and determinant. So these things will be there. And if I talk about some basic things, so one question from GCD, one question from maxima, at least one question from maxima minima. So these type of questions is always going to be there. Like just try to get the last 3 year papers of the CMI, and see if you can't get any questions from GCD or maxima, then let me know. So these things are always there. So obviously you have to prepare those parts in the well, and you can just join if you want to join my course on the same exam preparation. Just let me know. And the basic is level, high level idea is only that you just to need to do all those things basically to get your preparations well in the same exams. And if like obviously you can't miss a single questions, because there's a lot of students sitting for the exam. And if you miss a single questions, if you don't write any single questions, then you may be getting a negative mark, sorry, you may be getting rejected also, because there's a lot of fight also. Now let's say you are solving any subjective questions, and you don't know the answer of any subjective question. So obviously in that case also try to attempt that questions at least, and just try to solve as much as you can. because solving the subjective part, and if you just solve something, some obviously any basic thing you also write there, you will able to get some marks. So obviously you have to steal the marks, you have to get the marks as much as you can, so that if you maximize your marks, you will maximize your chance of selection in the CMI. So basically we talked about a lot of things related to CMI data science paper. If you have any additional questions about the paper or about the course that I'm heading, just you can let me know. Thanks for watching. Or I'll subscribe to more for the such examinations, data science, and all other related activities, or obviously the information. Thanks for watching.